Assalamu alaikum. My name is Halima Hajat. I am a holistic consultant coming from a pharmacist role. I am here on the Health Podcast brought to you by UCTV and it's sponsored by Audley Late Night Pharmacy. And today we're going to be talking about exam results. So alhamdulillah, August time is a time where everyone, well, students, teenagers, youngsters, they get their exam results, everything from Gcse's to A levels and beyond. Okay. And so alhamdulillah, if you did really well in the exams, mashallah, congratulations to your nieces and nephews, your sons, your daughters, youngsters, if you're watching, congratulations if you did really well. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, may Allah grant you all abundant success. But also, if you didn't do so well, or if you didn't do as well as you'd hoped, alhamdulillah for that as well, right? Alhamdulillah. It's not a bad thing. A lot of people, a lot of students, a lot of parents going through this time where if they haven't had that kind of the results that they expected, might be feeling deflated, might be feeling really gutted. And those are really genuine feelings. They are acceptable feelings. Of course, we are going to feel a little bit down, a little bit gutted. But here's the thing, right? Allah knows, right? Allah plans. And so even though it's not something we want, it's still going to be something that's going to be good for you, right? So alhamdulillah, have tawakkul in the plan that Allah has made for you, that even though you've not got the grades you want, it doesn't mean that, that's it, it's the end of the world. No, this is just a little step and it's part of a bigger plan, right? So alhamdulillah for that. And so here's what I want you to understand and look at is the fact that your GCSEs and A levels, yes, they are really important markers in terms of career growth, in terms of that transition into getting, into university, etc., and going down those really big professions and those titles and working on those degrees and etc. And if you have that kind of career ambition, go ahead. You can still do those things even if you haven't got the grades. How? Number one is you can go ahead and get those exams remarked if you have just a few marks that you were off. Number two is you can resit them, right? Go ahead and resit them if you want to resit them. Number three is you can go alternative routes, right? That means that you might not go down the traditional route that you wanted to, but you can still go down alternative routes and still get to a very similar place, right? Or even the same place a lot of the times. And just so as an example, I mean, like I come from a pharmacist background, right? So to give you a little bit of an actual example, so in pharmacy, we have like the pharmacist themselves, which is the career that you need to go into university for. You have to do 4 years of master's degree, and then you do a 1-year training, right? And then you have to sit an exam at the end of that training as well. So there's like literally a 5-year study after A levels, right? So you do your GCSEs, you do your A levels, and then you go to university and you do your master's in pharmacy. At the end of that, you do your training and you can become a qualified pharmacist. Okay, now here's the things. In a pharmacy, it's not just a pharmacist that is part of that role, right? There is also dispensers, which are which you don't need to go to university for, and they work alongside the pharmacist to deal with a lot of the medication. There are counter assistants, people that work at the front of the shop, at the front of the pharmacy to kind of sell a lot of the things that you'd find at the front of the store. So when you walk into a pharmacy, the first person you deal with is normally the counter assistant most of the time. So those are roles that you can still explore. They are not as well paid as pharmacists, but they are stepping stones. Like you can go into those roles and you can actually work up to earn a very close amount. Like I think locum dispensers, locum means like when you're not fixed working at one place, but they call you in if they need staff, or if someone's gone off sick, etc. And so those kind of roles like locum dispensers, I'm sure they earn not so less compared to a pharmacist, right? There's not that much of a difference. And then there's actually something called an ACT, which is an accuracy technician. accuracy checking technician, and they also work alongside a pharmacist. And actually, in terms of how they operate in the pharmacy, it's actually very similar in terms of the role. It's just that the pharmacist has a extra level of clinical knowledge. They have an extra level of that medical background of understanding the body and all of those things, right? But in terms of operating at a pharmacy, in the pharmacy, that person in that ACT role is actually very close. And so again, those pay bands are almost very similar, right? And so a lot of the things that the pharmacists can they can do, sometimes they replace some of the things that the pharmacists can do. So there's a lot of alternative roles, and the reason why I share this with you isn't be like, oh, just do something else. Is to help you to understand that wherever you go into, whatever profession, there are not just one or two roles in that profession. There are so many roles that make up that profession. And so there are so many ways that you can still add value and be part of that service instead of going down the traditional route, right? So actually, there's even one other role that I haven't mentioned is a pharmacy manager, right? So you can even be a manager of a pharmacy and you know, and not be a pharmacist. So there's a lot of that as well. And so you don't need a lot of the time, so if you want to be a pharmacist, you're going to need a degree. If you want to be part of pharmacy but you know not but you're struggling with getting in, then there are still so many avenues. And so this is just what I'm trying to explain in terms of example, in terms of there are so many opportunities, there are so many ways of getting into things. A lot of the times you just need to get your foot in the door in places, and you will be able to work up in so many promotions and different things that they bring in. So don't worry about, so there are so many opportunities in how you can actually go ahead and you know, work in roles and the careers and stuff like that. And actually I remember reading just a few days ago, actually I saw an article that came out on I'm sure it was the NHS website or something along those lines, where universities, if you are wanting to do medicine, they are going to be opening up apprenticeship to medicine. So you think about that. I mean, medicine is kind of something you need to be studying a long time for. It's such a competitive niche to get into. And so if you want to be a doctor, it's really, really hard to get into that. But they are opening up other avenues in getting more people in, right? So this is also helping you understand that it's not a closed off thing where, you know, this is the only way. The truth is, if there's a demand for that role, they will open up ways for more people to access that learning and that education, right? And so we know how overstretched the NHS is, and how doctors are really really stretched out in their work, and so they need more doctors, and so they're opening more avenues up, right? And so this is what we need to try and understand, that don't worry about having such like, oh, what we're gonna you know, what we're gonna do or how we're gonna get there. It will open up, the solutions will come into play. You have to trust in the plan of Allah, in that, having that tawakkul in Allah, that something will happen and something, you know, things are going to fall into place the way they will, the way they have to fall in place, and the way that it's going to benefit you, even if it might not be the thing you might want right now. Another thing I wanted to mention is stop thinking 10 years ahead. Like, we have this worry that GCSEs, A-levels right now, what's going to happen in 5 years time, etc. in terms of the career. Think about where you are right now. We're not even guaranteed tomorrow. So why are you worried about what's going to happen in 5-6 years, right? Focus on, you know, what it is you want to go on to and the very next step, and just take one step at a time, and be open to the abundance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be open to the doors that, you know, are there and that can open up for you, right? Just stay open-minded in whatever you're doing. What else would I like to say is I think there are so many parents that have really high expectations of their children to do well, and there's nothing wrong with that, in the sense of that we worry about the future, we worry about the cost of living rising. We worry about these things, and so we do want them to be settled in a well-paid career and be thriving in whatever they do. And so yes, I completely understand getting them to get those grades, really get educated, because that will really help them to push forward, and it will kind of accelerate that. But here's the thing, like if they don't, if they aren't as academic, or they aren't really achieving the level that you expect them to, it's absolutely okay. Like everyone has different strengths. Some people are more academic, some people are more kind of hands-on DIY type of people. You know, it depends on what your strengths are. It doesn't mean they can't be successful. They can still be successful in whatever they put their minds to, inshallah, right? But it's nurturing them. It's trying to lay off the expectation and kind of just helping them understand what their passions are, what their skills are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how we can help them to really nurture those areas in finding something that they're going to really excel at and really be good at. And that doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a very kind of specific career. It could be in between, or it could be a little bit of both. It doesn't really matter, but there are so many potential careers out there, so don't restrict to just kind of what we see as titles on like lawyer or dentist or a doctor or a teacher, which unfortunately in the South Asian community we do that a lot, you know, like we want these kind of titles, and actually is that really you know, the best thing for your child right now? It's, you know, maybe they just need that support a little bit more. So I just wanted to share this little video about exam results, you know, alhamdulillah, great for everyone who is, you know, who has really done well. And even if you've not done so well, alhamdulillah, great. You know, you guys, each and every one of you is capable, right? And it's and is worthy, and inshallah can go on to achieve really great things, inshallah. And it's just keeping yourself open to that abundance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and trusting in that whatever comes your way is really part of a bigger plan, and being open to that and receptive to that. And inshallah something will always work out in the end, and hopefully you got some benefit from that. But jazakallah for listening. Again, my name is Halima Hajat. I am a holistic consultant. I come from a pharmacist background. I'm here, the health podcast by UCTV, and this episode is sponsored by Audley Late Night Pharmacy. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.